Welcome to Lesson 10 of How to Understand Quranic Grammar series. Out of all the previous 9 lessons of this series, this lesson is by far the most important. Understanding this lesson will help you understand a major concept of the Arabic language that is considered to be its backbone. For the last 3 lessons, we've been discussing the Arabic verb. We've learned the concept of pronouns in Arabic with all its kinds, and we also learned how to conjugate verbs in the past and in the present. But today's lesson won't be about the imperative conjugation, since unlike past and present verbs, the imperative form does not have regular conjugations that you can apply on the majority of verbs. So in order to learn how to deal with the imperative verbs and deepen our knowledge about the structure and the meaning of Arabic verbs, it is very important to understand the morphology of Arabic verbs. So what is morphology? Morphology means how words in Arabic are made and where they are derived from. That's why today's main topic will be about rooting. So let's get started. In Arabic, every single word, including verbs, nouns, basically everything, is formed from a 3-letter root. This root plays a major role in the formation of the meaning of the word. So for example, the root of the word kitab, which means a book, is kataba, which is, if you translate it, it would mean to write. And the root of katib, which is a writer, is also kataba. And maktub, which means written, the root of this word is kataba. Maktaba, which means a library, its root is also kataba. Maktab, which means a desk, has the same root, and so does kutab, kutub, in kataba. And all of these words have the same root, which is kataba. So all of these words, in spite of the fact that we cannot say that they are identical, and actually some of them are nouns, some are verbs, and others are adjectives, so they really are different, but it is undeniable that all of them come close to each other in meaning. This is because they are all derived from the same root. And as you can see, all these words contain the 3 letters of the root. So they have a piece of the meaning of the root. Kaf, ta, and ba. Ka-ta-ba, which means to write. Now, each of these words that you see here is a variation of the same root. To derive these variations out of this root, you need to use something called a measure. This measure is what we use to go from here, from the root, to there, to the variation. And each of these measures has a pattern that enables you to form nouns, verbs, and so on. So you can look at measures in Arabic as molds to make words. These measures in Arabic are limited in number and they follow a logical system. So knowing them enables you to form words from almost any root. So in Arabic, the root and the measures, so the molds, have patterns, which makes it possible for us to know how to go from roots to variations using measures. So the root of kataba has the pattern of fa'ala. The fa then refers to the first letter of the root, the ain represents the second letter of the root, and the lam then also stands for the third letter. So kataba has the same pattern, or in Arabic, wazn, of fa'ala. Kataba, fa'ala. And you have many other verbs that follow the same pattern. Zara'a, fataha, ضرب, So all of these roots have the same pattern, which is فعل. And from this root, we can then see the patterns of different measures. In other words, it gives you an indication as to how to form variations using different measures, since it helps you to know which letters are the root letters using whatever measure you want to use. To understand this even more, let's see how we can use this knowledge in reality. So we have the root كتب, which has the wazn or the pattern of فعل. Now the meaning of كتب, as I've just said, means to write. So its variations will all have something to do with the meaning of this root, which is to write. So let's apply one of the measures, like for example the measure of فاعل. This measure also adds to the meaning of the root. فاعل adds the meaning of the one who does the root. So applying the measure فاعل to كتب will give us كاتب. So we knew how to form the word كاتب out of كتب because we know where to put the alif in the word, since we know that the fa represents the first letter, which is the kaf, and the ain represents the second letter, the ta, and the lam stands for the last letter, which is the ba. So when we apply the measure of fa'il that has alif in it, we know that the alif would then come in between the fa, or the kaf in this case, and the ain or the ta of kataba. So then we would go from kataba to katib. Now, can you guess what the meaning of the word katib is? Well, when you remember that the root of katib is kataba, which means to write, and that the measure adds another dimension to the meaning, which is the one who does the root, you can then simply conclude that the meaning of katib is writer. Similarly, alima means to know, and its pattern is fa'ila. When you apply the same measure, which is fa'il, to it, we would have alim. What do you think alim means? If we derive it from the root alima, which means to know, and we apply the measure fa'il, which means the one who does the root. Alim means a scientist. Let's have one last example. The root la'iba means to play. Let's apply the same measure to it, that is fa'il. You would then get la'ib. And by now, you should have already guessed that la'ib means player. So all Arabic words have roots. Words belonging to the same root share a bit of the meaning of the root. From this root, you can apply measures. This measure adds a dimension to the meaning of the root to form a new word or a variation, which you can know its approximate meaning by putting two and two together. Now, the reason why we're talking about this is because we want to understand how Arabic verbs are made. Now, when it comes to Arabic verbs, there are 10 measures, which is to say that there are 10 different ways that the three-letter root can be changed to. 10 different patterns that the root can follow. These measures, as we explained, add a certain dimension to the original meaning of the root. So to learn the Arabic verbs in the Quran, it is important to learn these 10 measures of the Quranic verbs. For instance, the root alima, which means to know. We see it used in the Quran in this example. قَدْ عَلِمَ كُلُّ أُنَاسٍ مَشْرَبَهُمْ. So here the word alima is used with the meaning of know. But if you simply apply one of the 10 measures of the Arabic verb on this root, and in this case we choose the measure of fa'ala, you turn it into a different measure. And what happens is, it takes whatever the meaning of the root was and adds the dimension of the measure to it, which is in this case, to cause the root to happen. So the measure of doubling the ayn of the verb, or the second letter of the verb, would turn the verb from its meaning, its root meaning, to cause the root meaning to happen. So this means that we will go from alima, or to know, into allama, like in this example. وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. So can you tell what the meaning of this sentence is? Let's check the translation. And he taught Adam the names, all of them. So as you can see, allama is derived from alima, but because we've applied a certain measure to it, which is fa'ala, which is to double the ayn of the verb, or the second letter of the verb, it turned it from to know into to cause the root, which is to know, to cause it to happen, which is in other words, to teach. So here we understood this sentence in this way because we knew that allama means to teach. Now, your knowledge of these measures will help you greatly to understand the Quran very easily without having to learn every single form of the verb that you see in the Quran. By simply learning what this measure or mold means and what kind of meaning it adds to the word, you can simply conclude the meaning of verbs without having to learn every single form of the verb. There are in total 10 measures or forms of the Arabic verbs, and studying this chart and learning it by heart will turn you into an expert at Arabic verbs. By simply using this chart, you can know the approximate meaning of the verb and its measures without having to learn every single one of them. So knowing the meaning of the root will be enough to know so many different variations of the word by applying the meaning of the measure to the meaning of the root. This chart will be the main topic of our next lesson, in which we'll explain in detail with example from the Quran, inshallah. So, what's your takeaway from today's lesson? First, all words in Arabic can be tracked to 3-letter roots. First letter of the root has the name fa. The second letter of the root has the name a. The third letter of the root has lam. So every root has the pattern of fa'ala with the fa, ayn, and lam. Second, words that share the same root also share part of the meaning one way or another. These words are in essence variations of the same root. And to make these variations, you apply certain measures. These measures like fa'il, maf'ul, and so on, they carry another piece of the meaning of the word, which is added to the original meaning of the root. When it comes to Arabic verbs, there are 10 different measures for verbs in the Quran, which will help us understand and or derive verbs using these patterns. Finally, don't forget to check out the description for the homework of this lesson. It is quite important. And it is also important to watch this lesson again to fully grasp the ideas discussed in it. And it is absolutely imperative to watch it again before lesson 11, inshallah. Thanks for watching. I hope you've learned something new today. If you did, please like and share the video for other people to learn from it. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you want to see more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in lesson 11.